Get ready for The Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's dedicated update show, events and people, anything and anyone causing a ripple in the community. And now, let's dive in to The Splash Live.
Welcome back to The Splash Live. I'm Tyler Kieft alongside Dayan Chaaban for Greater West Bloomfield's live daily news and talk show. Let's take a look at all different places you can find us every single day on the program, all throughout the day on Comcast Channel 15 and on AT&T Channel 99. You can also find us live in high definition online on CivicCenterTV.com, on social media, on Facebook at Civic Center TV 15, as well as on YouTube, both live and on demand. YouTube.com to search Civic Center TV. You can also find us on the radio every single morning as you're driving into work and throughout the afternoons and evenings as you're listening to us all throughout the day. Our programming is simulcast all day long on 89.3 Lakes FM and on lakesfm.com. Dayan, after a very temperate Monday, not very humid, not very warm, but very nice outside. Looks like a little more of the same over the next couple days, albeit a bit more heat. Give us the latest update.
Yeah, true, Tyler. So today it's going to be a little bit higher than yesterday, which is good. We still have a couple more days of summer, I guess. We're looking into partly cloudy skies today, some sun, and there is a slight possibility of some thunderstorms here and there, but just I hope people keep their eye on the Weather Channel. Most likely it's not, but there is a slight chance of thunderstorm and rain. So we're looking at a highs of 81 and a lows of 61. Tomorrow, Tyler, it's gonna even look so much better. A little less cloudy, more sunny for tomorrow with higher degrees. We're looking at highs of 83 and lows of 63. Going into Thursday, it's gonna be a little bit like today with lower temperatures. Looking into highs of 76 and lows of 56. Great weather to walk outside, Tyler. It's awesome. Honestly, this kind of weather towards the evening is so much better for dog owners. I bet every dog owner can confirm that.
Yeah, a lot easier to deal with these sorts of temperatures, this level of humidity. Getting to that point of the summer where we're starting to take that move toward fall, but still having that nice sunny summer weather that's still warm and nice to get outdoors. Taking a look at some of what's making news all across the town here on Civic Center TV this morning. West Bloomfield High School football opened their practice for the season just ahead of their first game a couple weeks from Thursday. We'll get the details on all of that coming up in just a little bit. Plus, an all-female art show debuting at a West Bloomfield Township Art Gallery. We'll give you the details on where that is and how long you can see that particular gallery. Also, celebrating 20 years of fire service across all four communities from partnership in the Tri-Cities with the West Bloomfield Township Fire Department. We'll talk about that later on. Then we'll be joined by Safaa Elmessiri from Hope Not Handcuffs and their partnership with the West Bloomfield Township Police Department, helping to reduce drug dependence and provide drug intervention services for those that may be addicted here in our community and around the local area. Plus, community safety initiatives in our local community, these Save a Life boxes from other organizations, much like Hope Not Handcuffs from the Alliance of Coalitions for Healthy Communities. We'll tell you all the different locations that those are at and what is inside those Save a Life boxes. Also, the West Bloomfield School District is seeking feedback on its 10-year strategic plan, how you can participate today, both in person and virtually, as well as other dates in August and in September. Teaching life skills to transition students at the West Bloomfield Transition Center, a new initiative there. We'll get the latest updates on that. A bridge closure coming up in Kegel Harbor later on in the week, how that may affect your commute on Thursday or your navigation around the heart of the lakes, given the construction also on Orchard Lake Road. Plus, a bogus tax collection scam is currently underway through mailings all across Oakland County, warns the clerk's office. We'll give you all the details on what those look like, what you can do, what you need to be looking out for if you're getting these sorts of mailings. Plus, a new program in Hazel Park has been launched to provide elementary school students with greater access to sports and athletics programs. The Oakland County Executive has proposed a new budget for the next fiscal year. Dr. Michael Greiner will join us to talk about that from Oakland University. Plus, plenty more fun and excitement all from throughout the four communities and across Oakland County. That's all coming up very soon, right after this short break on The Splash Live.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live.
1 in 4 Michigan homes has high levels of radon, a naturally occurring radioactive gas known to cause lung cancer. It doesn't matter where you live or what type of home you have. You won't even know it's there unless you test. So don't wait. Testing is cheap and easy, and if there's a problem, it's simple to fix. Visit michigan.gov/radon to learn more.
We took action. Will you?
Watch Civic Center TV with our brand new live captions. To turn on live captions, go to civiccentertv.com and click Watch Live. In your web browser, click on the Options tab in the top right and find the Accessibilities tab. Then just switch on live captions to heighten your enjoyment of our local programming. Thank you so much for watching Civic Center TV.
Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiver.
And now, back to the Splash, live.
Welcome back to the Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's live daily news and talk show. I'm Tyler Kieft alongside Dayan Chaaban. We're getting closer and closer to kickoff of the West Bloomfield Lakers football season as it begins Thursday, August 24th at the Zenith Prep Kickoff Classic in downtown Detroit at Wayne State University. Tom Adams Field, the second consecutive season that they have begun their year down there, playing one of the top teams in the state in Clinton Township, Chippewa Valley. You can see on the screen the Lakers, their first practice yesterday at West Bloomfield High School, as all teams across the MHSAA first permitted to practice yesterday. Lakers practiced right away, 9 o'clock a.m. yesterday to about 12:30 in the afternoon, getting some drills in early on and starting to build that team chemistry as they're a little bit younger coming into the season, particularly on the offensive side of the football. Very veteran defense, but certainly the offensive and defensive line going to have to make an adjustment this year with some younger players stepping up in the starting roles or full-time starting roles, and others that were previously in the second or the third string or even on the JV squad or the freshman squad a year ago, now going to be playing the big-time games on the varsity side against some really, really tough competition in a closely competitive OAA Red Division. Outside opponents, super tough as well, with teams like Clinton Township Chippewa Valley in week 1 and Southfield A&T from the OAA White also being competition for the Lakers coming up this season. Again, just 2 weeks from Thursday, it's the first game of the year, an away game at Tom Adams Field at Wayne State University against Clinton Township Chippewa Valley, a team that won 7 games a year ago, 7-3 record overall, 7-2 in the regular season, lost by just 1 point to Romeo in the first round of the playoffs last season, the second time they had lost to Romeo across that season, but had wins against formidable programs all throughout last season, including a familiar foe for West Bloomfield in Sterling Heights Stevenson, Utica Eisenhower, and Novi Detroit Catholic Central, as well as Oxford High School from in the OAA Red last season. So going to be a big test for the Lakers early on. Some of those question marks that you may have about the Lakers this season, that offensive line, the relationship between the new skill players, particularly at wide receiver and running back, with quarterback Rick Nance, how Rick Nance continues to develop and comes back from injury this season. All those questions going to be answered very quickly against a very tough matchup in week 1. But if you can get through that, you're going to have a lot of promise going into this season for West Bloomfield, atop the OAA, the number 1 team in the coaches poll from the OAA Red Division for this season. Diane, a lot of excitement on the gridiron at West Bloomfield High School yesterday.
Yeah, indeed, Tyler. A lot of excitement for all these students that were playing, for everybody watching them. I am not a super football fan, but I still do love watching our students doing what they do best. And winning. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're going to get a lot of football news this fall from the Lakers, always having an exciting season and a lot of great storylines from the L Boys every single fall. But not just excitement on the sports scene in West Bloomfield, there's also a lot of excitement on the art scene. Diane, tell us about a new gallery that has popped up, or a new exhibit that's popped up at one of our local West Bloomfield galleries.
Yes, Tyler. It's an all-female exhibit called Her Story, and it's happening right here at West Bloomfield. It's a very inspiring and empowering exhibit happening here in West Bloomfield. So they'll be showcasing 60 art pieces from 60 different female artists, namely from two groups of art. They're called Birmingham Society of Women Painters and De La Vie Studio. So the art exhibit started on August 6th, but it's running through September the 13th. So we still have a lot of time to go and check out these amazing art from these amazing women artists, Tyler. It will be happening at the Janice Charach Gallery in West Bloomfield. It's an amazing and very inspiring art show happening here. So all-female art show, just an incredible experience. Another great news, Tyler, another great news from our community. It's something that I read earlier on our newspapers. Just incredible. This year marks more than 20 years of the West Bloomfield Fire Department collaborating with the nearby cities. So the West Bloomfield Fire Department collaborates with Orchard Lake, Keego Harbor, and Sylvan Lake, where they only handled volunteers. So Tyler, 20 years ago, all these Tri-City areas, they were only handled by volunteers, when West Bloomfield was the only city in our county that was handled by professionals, and they had emergency medical services, they had professional emergency medical services, they had more technology. So 20 years ago, Tyler, these commissioners from the Tri-City areas and West Bloomfield, they got together and decided to collaborate. And as they claim, it was one of the best things that they ever did as their position as commissioners, Tyler. It was a huge collaboration. Even one of the commissioners, Commissioner Erickson, mentioned an example. He said that if it wasn't for that collaboration, we would have had more impact from all the fires that was happening. One of the fires that happened a long time ago was only in one house, Tyler, and it could have destroyed a lot more houses nearby, but if it wasn't for that collaboration. So, and this is just an amazing news story to know about. It shows how much our communities, they have been collaborating throughout history. Just an amazing example, Tyler, of what we can do together as a community.
Yeah, and this is a really interesting story. If you want to hear a little bit more about kind of how the Tri-City Fire Board came together, there was a little bit of discussion at the end of their last Tri-City Fire Board meeting, which you can find on demand on CivicCenterTV.com. Click on our on-demand page at the top of your home screen on your web browser and scroll down to meetings and click on Tri-City Fire Board. You click on that particular meeting from back in May, and at the last half hour or so, they were having some discussion about this in between some of their other business as they're celebrating 20 years of the Tri-City Fire Board partnership. That is a board of commissioners from all of the Tri-Cities, from Orchard Lake Village, from Keego Harbor, from Sylvan Lake, that help to oversee the operations of the West Bloomfield Fire Department in those three communities. And you think about partnership between those three communities and West Bloomfield, that also kind of maybe helped to pave the way for partnerships on a more widespread level. You think about the Oakway partnership that the West Bloomfield Township Fire Department is participating in, that has partners from very nearby communities, so that if there's a lot of action happening in West Bloomfield, those communities provide support here. We provide support to those communities when they have when they're in need of some additional fire or EMS support, when they're out on other jobs or when they're collaborating with other communities. So this is not something necessarily uncommon in this particular industry amongst first responders in our communities, but something that really, you could say, was birthed in our area here in Oakland County through this collective partnership between the West Bloomfield Fire Department and the Tri-Cities. 20 years ago, congratulations to everyone on the Tri-City Fire Board all across those 20 years, the West Bloomfield Fire Department as well, and of course, a huge thank you to those departments from the city, from those cities for their service over the last 20 years. You think about recent fires in our communities, a couple of home fires in West Bloomfield. Certainly that's their main territory there, their originating territory. It's a better terminology for that. But even recent fires over the last couple of years, you think about maybe the fire at Gino's Pizzeria just a couple years ago, and how that would have affected the Keego Harbor community right in the heart of the Cass Lake Road business corridor. And if you don't have a fire department right nearby, or you have to wait for volunteer fire departments to gather their belongings, gather the equipment that they need, and get to that location, that time, especially today, could have played a much bigger factor. But having that partnership with West Bloomfield Township, therefore having a fire station just maybe a mile down the road on Orchard Lake from the Cass Lake location of Gino's, played a huge role in their ability to extinguish that fire, salvage that building, and of course get one of the staples of Keego Harbor back up and running quickly. And certainly that goes for so many other situations, fire and EMS related, in the Tri-Cities. So congratulations, 20 years of the Tri-City Fire Board and partnership with the West Bloomfield Township Fire Department. We'll take a break on the Splash Live. On the other side, more partnership to talk about between our first responders and the greater community. We'll be joined by an individual from Hope Not Handcuffs about their partnership with the West Bloomfield Township Police Department, addressing drug dependence issues and intervention right here in our community and in areas nearby with other departments as well. Stay tuned. That's coming up next on the Splash Live.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is, fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kitchen now.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those barbecues you plan in detail for your family? Or your daughter's first costume party? It was out of this world. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
And now, back to the Splash Live.
Welcome back to the Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's live daily news and talk show. I'm Tyler Kieft alongside Dayan Chaaban. There's over 130 police departments in the state of Michigan and nearly 200 police departments between Michigan and New York that are partnering with Families Against Narcotics to help address the drug and the opioid epidemic here in the United States, both the dependence issues and intervention issues to help prevent drug dependence from becoming a problem or expanding as a problem in our communities. That includes a partnership between the Families Against Narcotics and West Bloomfield's Police Department in a program called Hope Not Handcuffs. Joining us now from that organization is Safaa Elmessiri on today's edition of the Splash Live. Safaa, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, glad Yeah, glad to have you on to talk to you about this partnership, because it's important even now, really more today than it has been in decades past, as we're seeing the opioid epidemic in the United States continue to take a toll on our communities, fentanyl in our communities, and other various drugs that are being laced into other drugs in our community on the black market and on the streets, affecting our families. And that's part of the reason why this partnership has come into play, not necessarily to catch these individuals that have developed these drug dependence issues and put them in a jail cell, which tended to be the way that things had gone in the past, but to get in between them and this drug dependence, ideally early, but even in process, and help these individuals. So tell us about this partnership and some of what goes into your relationship with the West Bloomfield Township Police Department.
So our mission for Hope Not Handcuffs is to, it's more of like a deflection program, to where we don't want the person who's struggling with substance use disorder to go to jail. Because when you put someone who has this substance use disorder and you throw them in jail, what happens? They come back out and they do the same thing over. So our mission is to get them the help that they need with detox or treatment. And so we partnered with, like you said, 130 police departments across the state of Michigan. And the process works like this. It's anyone with a substance use disorder or an alcohol problem can walk into a participating police department and ask for assistance with getting into treatment or detox. So they walk into the department, they ask the front desk officer, they let them know that they're there for Hope Not Handcuffs. The front desk officer will then call us at Fan Central. We will send out an angel volunteer. This angel volunteer will arrive and assist them with compassion and love. They will assist them with a short phone call to our call center to do a short intake. Then we will call the PIHP three-way. The PIHP is either Common Ground in Oakland County, the Access Center in Wayne County. It just depends on the county that you're in. We have different PIHPs across the state of Michigan. So they will place the individual into a treatment center. And once that's completed, we will send out an Uber to the individual at the department, and they will transport them to the treatment center.
And there are a number of different reasons why people may not go and seek this sort of treatment without the intervention from their local police department and public safety department, or other interventionary groups such as Hope Not Handcuffs or Families Against Narcotics, or the Alliance of Coalitions for Healthy Communities, and so many others in our local area. But part of that is because these drug rehab treatment centers in many cases can be very expensive to get into. Some may not have the health care to be able to afford these sort of services, and that's a concern. But that's part of the reason why your organization, local police departments, are partnering, is to provide those interventionary services and also relieve some of the worries that may be behind it for a lot of these individuals that, look, they've developed a drug dependence or an alcohol dependence of some degree, but they are very clear in their minds they don't want to continue down that particular path, and they don't want the problem that they currently have to escalate. And so how does your organization help to bridge some of those gaps that may be there financially for people seeking these sorts of treatments?
Right. So we get that question a lot, actually. I'm glad you asked that. So all of our services at Families Against Narcotics are free of charge. And, some people, like you said, don't want to walk into the police department because they're afraid of getting arrested. But that's the beauty of this program, is if you walk into a police department asking for help that has Hope Not Handcuffs, you cannot get arrested. If you have pills on you, if you have drugs on you, you just have to forfeit what you have, but you will not get arrested because you're walking into the department and you're asking for help. So that's the beauty of this program. And it just depends on what kind of insurance you have. If you have private insurance, if you don't have insurance, if you have state insurance, we work with everyone. We have a grant from the MDHHS that will allow everyone to get the same help needed. So we try to remove the stigma with law enforcement and the community. And that's why people feel comfortable when they know they cannot get arrested walking into the police department. And partnering with the West Bloomfield PD has been such a blessing because they've had walk-ins. They've had a lot of people from the community, you know, walk in and have that relationship with the law enforcement. You know, we also have the patrol officers when they're out, if they have repeat offenders, you know, with smaller crimes, nothing major, but they will hand out our business card that has our call center number, which is 833-202-HOPE. They'll just give it to them. Say, here's an extra resource. You know, instead of doing that revolving door, here is the business card. Here's an extra resource. Use it. So you're not constantly in and out, getting in trouble. You know, we'd like to help as many people as we can.
Safaa Elmessiri is with us from Families Against Narcotics' Hope Not Handcuffs program, which has partnerships with over 130 police departments in the state of Michigan, plus over 60 in the state of New York, including here in West Bloomfield Township with the West Bloomfield Police Department. You can learn more information about Hope Not Handcuffs by visiting familiesagainstnarcotics.org/Hope Not Handcuffs, or call their toll-free number between 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. at 833-202-HOPE. 833-202-4673 for more information. And Safaa, this is a relatively new program, began in 2017, but over the last roughly 6 years, or over 6 years at this point that it's been in operations, you've had enough time and enough interventions to be able to get some real metrics and understanding of just how these sort of programs work versus the former traditional model of addressing drug use and misuse in our communities. How much more effective is something like this program, like Hope Not Handcuffs, versus the old model of addressing drug use and drug abuse in our local communities?
So we've grown a lot. We've grown tremendously. We've come a long way. People are starting to talk about it more. People are starting to come forward, knowing that there are these types of programs. They're just becoming more comfortable. We have peer recovery coaches that work hand in hand with the person who's struggling. So we offer the person who walks into the department, you know, and asks for help, we offer them a peer recovery coach, which 95% of the time they do accept. And a person who is a peer recovery coach is a person in recovery who's had at least 2 years in sobriety. So they walk hand in hand with them for 90 days. It's free of charge. And it's just that extra layer of support. You know, when you're first in the beginning of your recovery process, it's always nice to have the most support possible. And, you know, because it's talked about more and more, I have organized a town hall meeting, which is presented tomorrow in Grosse Pointe. So after we've heard about these overdose deaths that had occurred in the last 3 months, we took action. And like I said, I organized a town hall meeting, Families Against Narcotics, and I approached the Family Center in Grosse Pointe. And so we have a panel of, you know, numerous individuals who will be speaking about different subjects. We have the Department of Justice on the panel. We have the DEA. We have a person from Families Against Narcotics whose family member struggles with substance use disorder. We have 2 chiefs from the Points area and a person in recovery. We have a judge who will be speaking as well. And Homeland Security, they'll be doing a presentation. So we just want to bring awareness to the community. We want to bring resources. We just want to assist as many people as we can. And like I said, after those devastating overdose deaths that had occurred, we really felt the need to take action and do something for the community.
Again,
So
you
it
can
is
find more
tomorrow
information on
in
Families
Rose-
Against Please
I am so sorry. So it is tomorrow, Wednesday, August 9th at 6:30 at the War Memorial in Grosse Pointe, and everyone is welcome. You know, we just, there will be a Q&A session after the presentations. So, you know, hopefully we'll see a good turnout because like I said, we'd like to get the word out there and help as many people as possible.
Numerous communities across the state of Michigan, across various counties in Michigan, are participating in Hope Not Handcuffs in partnership with Families Against Narcotics. It's Macomb County, Wayne County, Genesee, Saginaw, Midland, Ingham, St. Clair, Eaton, Otsego, Grand Traverse, Clinton, Chippewa, Crawford, so many other places too, including here in Oakland County. Several different communities, including 2 of the 4 communities in our primary coverage area, West Bloomfield Township, of course, as well as the Orchard Lake Police Department, also participating in this program Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. until 4 p.m. But other neighboring communities too, Waterford participating in this program, White Lake Township, Wixom, Southfield also involved, Novi, Farmington Hills, Bloomfield Township, Auburn Hills, so many different areas here in Oakland County that you can participate in this program if you are in need of these services or know someone in need of these services. And even if you are in need of these services, but like Safaa had said earlier on, maybe you don't want to go directly to your police department, you can also do this online by visiting familiesagainstnarcotics.org/hope-not-handcuffs and clicking under their online option, fill out the information, and somebody from the organization will contact you directly, or you can call them directly, 833-202-HOPE, 833-202-4673 for more information and for services. Safaa, before we let you go, anything else that we should know about this program or other initiatives within this program that may be coming ahead?
So I would like to add that without our angel volunteers, our Hope Not Handcuffs program would not be functional. Therefore, I am recruiting a few angels in every county. We are coming to Monroe as well. So we are looking for angels across the state of Michigan. So an angel volunteer is the person who meets the individual who walks into the police department asking for assistance with getting into treatment. It's very flexible. It doesn't take much time. The process is you would just have to attend a short training, which is an hour and a half, either virtual or in person. I have a couple angel trainings coming up, one in the city of Wayne and the next one in Oakland County. So if you go to our website, familiesagainstnarcotics.org, and you look at the different trainings that we have, you can choose from, you know, whichever one is convenient for you. You know, complete the training and you become an angel. And there are other roles as well, not just meeting the participant at the police department. There are a few others that you could choose from. But like I said, we are in dire need of angel volunteers. So please, you know, if you're a compassionate person, if you have a person in your family, you know, who has struggled and you know the pain and you know, if you have that compassion, it just takes maybe an hour out of your day to give back to the community. So.
And it's important to know that these resources are available, whether you are in need of these services or not, knowing that they are available for someone in your life, someone you may encounter on a day-to-day basis, to help people get the help that they need to prevent these issues from expanding in our communities. Safaa, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Appreciate having you on. Hope Not Handcuffs can be found. You can find more information on them by visiting their website, familiesagainstnarcotics.org/Hope Not Handcuffs, or give them a call, 833-202-HOPE, 833-202-4673 for more information. And while you're out and about in the community, if you are encountering somebody that may be having maybe experiencing an overdose, there are Save a Life boxes, as they're called, all throughout the community through the Alliance of Coalitions for Healthy Communities in partnership with the West Bloomfield Township Police Department, the Fire Department, the Greater West Bloomfield Community Coalition, West Bloomfield Parks, the Public Library, and West Bloomfield Township. Let's take a look, Calvin. We have a graphic that has locations all throughout West Bloomfield Township where you can find these Save a Life boxes at fire stations 1 through 5, as well as fire station number 9, at all branches of the West Bloomfield Township Public Library, the main branch in the Town Hall complex, as well as the West Acres branch off down Pontiac Trail and near Commerce Road. You can also find those. Parks and Recreation, the Recreation Activity Center has these, as well as West Bloomfield Town Hall. And there are plenty more of these Save a Life boxes, much like Hope Not Handcuffs, available in communities all throughout Oakland County. And you can find more information by going to the Alliance of Coalitions for Healthy Communities website, or by contacting the West Bloomfield Township Police Department, West Bloomfield Township Parks, the Fire Department, and more for more information on where these Save a Life boxes are all throughout our community. We'll take a break now on the Splash Live. On the other side, you have a chance to participate in a group discussion with the West Bloomfield School District Board of Education, their Strategic Visioning Committee, and other members of the community about the next 10 years of the vision of the West Bloomfield School District as they go through a transition period with the new bond and look toward the future of education in our community. We'll give you details on how you can participate both today and in the near future, plus teaching life skills to West Bloomfield transition students, adults that have graduated and are learning life skills, continuing to learn life skills as they're going into the real world and continuing their life after their K through 12 education. Those details coming up next on the Splash Live.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Watch Civic Center TV with our brand new live captions. To turn on live captions, go to civiccentertv.com and click Watch Live. In your web browser, click on the Options tab in the top right and find the Accessibilities tab. Then just switch on live captions to heighten your enjoyment of our local programming. Thank you so much for watching Civic Center TV.
Hey guys, it's me, Isabella Gomez, filling in for Smokey Bear because he's got more to say than just...
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Like, if you're outside enjoying a barbecue, don't let a hamburger distract you from fire safety. Make sure you aren't dumping your hot coals or ashes onto the ground because that could start a wildfire. So take wildfire prevention seriously and let's save the world one day at a time. Juntos con Smokey Bear, podemos hacerlo. Go to smokeybear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
And now, back to the Splash Live.
Welcome back to the Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's live daily news and talk show. I'm Tyler Kieft alongside Dayan Chaaban. You have an opportunity tonight to participate both in person and through a virtual option in a discussion with the West Bloomfield School Board as well as their Strategic Visioning Committee, looking at their 10-year strategic plan going forward as they get ready to finalize that at an upcoming school board meeting. They've already started those discussions last week. The next opportunity is tonight, 7 o'clock in person at their administrative building, otherwise known as ACS, at the corner of Pontiac Trail and Commerce Road in West Bloomfield Township. There's also a virtual option for tonight's discussion as well as the next one on Wednesday, August 23rd at 12 noon. You can find more information on how to sign up for those virtual options by visiting this QR code, by scanning this QR code we have on your screen now on CivicCenterTV.com and on our YouTube channel at Civic Center TV. If you scan this QR code, it'll take you to a Facebook post by the West Bloomfield School District about these discussions. And in the comments, you have sign-up options for both of their virtual days, both tonight's discussion at 7 o'clock at ACS, as well as their upcoming virtual session on August 23rd that will be happening at 12 noon. Those are your two opportunities to participate virtually. Every single one of these meetings will also be in person. So again, tonight, 7 o'clock at ACS, that is 5810 Commerce Road in West Bloomfield Township at the corner of Commerce and Pontiac Trail. You can also participate virtually by scanning this QR code and going into the comments section of that Facebook post to sign up to get a link for tonight. Same goes for August 23rd at 12 noon. And then the final meeting will be September 5th, 7 o'clock in person at ACS with translators available for Japanese, Spanish, and Arabic speakers. That is the final one on Tuesday, September 5th, 7 o'clock at the ACS building. And of course, more information can be found on WBSD.org. Across the West Bloomfield School District, also, we have students that have completed their K-12 education. In many cases, it's students that may have special needs that are continuing their education in the West Bloomfield School District at what's known as the West Bloomfield Transition Center. Here's a new initiative from them. They have added into their building in West Bloomfield Township a new bedroom. Now, this is intended to help students learn some life skills, managing the space that they're in, whether it's their bedroom at home or maybe in an apartment or another facility, helping them learn a number of different life skills, such as you saw in a previous picture, building furniture, assembling furniture for your space, keeping your space clean and organized, and more. This new effort, a bedroom in place at the West Bloomfield Transition Center, one of the post K-12 education opportunities for adult students in West Bloomfield Township. So a new effort there as they're continuing to provide excellent services in the local community. Diane, this is a very necessary program to have in our community, and these are really necessary life skills that help these individuals, usually with special needs, that are going to eventually be more than likely in a position where they are living independently and need to develop these skills. And these are things that sometimes take a little bit more training, a little more one-on-one or small group sort of teaching situations in order to really take hold. And so having this available so they can see it and experience it in person, really comprehensive for their education.
That is true, Tyler. I agree. I couldn't agree with you more, especially at this point in their life. You said they're at their K-12, now they're going off. They're trying to have their own life. These kind of skills, they teach them self-sufficiency, and they teach them how to be, if you can say, well on their own, if that makes sense. And one thing I couldn't help but think about is how much money would you save if you were able to fix your own furniture or assemble your own stuff. This is just a great initiative by our community members. It's great for their age too, so I think this is amazing.
Yeah, job training opportunities, also other life skills being developed at the West Bloomfield Transition Center. You can find more information, WBSD.org. If you scroll over schools and click on the West Bloomfield Transition Center, you'll find even more information about opportunities here for your kids or other kids in our communities. In Keego Harbor, some news that will be affecting your commute potentially on Thursday. The bridge at Willow Beach, the car bridge at Willow Beach Road, will be closed in Keego Harbor from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. That's the estimated time of closure on Thursday this week, August 10th, in order for the state of Michigan to conduct a structural inspection, a regular inspection of that bridge. So directly from the Keego Harbor Police Department in a post that they made on Facebook, during the closing, residents on Willow Beach and Bulwer will have to enter and exit from Orchard Lake Road. The residents of Park Circle, Kenrick, Atlas, Brock, and Andre will have to enter and exit from Cass Lake Road. There will be no through traffic on those specific streets because of this current situation with the traffic on Orchard Lake Road, with construction there, and with this inspection closing down the Willow Beach car bridge. Again, that is Thursday, August 10th, the expected closure, 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. in order for the state of Michigan to conduct a regular inspection of that bridge for your safety. We'll take a break on the Splash Live. On the other side, the Oakland County Executive has presented the Board of Commissioners and the Finance Committee, soon the Board of Commissioners, a budget proposal for the next 3 years. Dr. Michael Greiner from Oakland University will join us next to discuss what is going into that budget discussion and how the current financial situation in our country with COVID-19 relief funds coming to their sunset is affecting those plans. Stay tuned. That's coming up next on the Splash Live.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kids should know.
And now, back to the Splash Live.
Welcome back to the Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's live daily news and talk show. I'm Tyler Kieft alongside Dayan Chaaban. As fiscal year 2023 is nearing its close, Oakland County Executive David Coulter, as well as the Board of Commissioners, the Finance Committee in Oakland County, all discussing the 2024 fiscal year budget. And David Coulter earlier in a couple weeks ago in July and near the end of July proposing a $1.09 billion budget to the Board of Commissioners and to the Finance Committee in Oakland County, looking forward to 2024. Now, COVID money starting to trickle out of the economy from the federal government and allocated to local communities from the state government. How is that going to impact our budget here in Oakland County in 2024? Here to join us for some analysis and to look at how that may affect your community is Dr. Michael Greiner, Assistant Professor of Management at Oakland University's School of Business Administration. Dr. Greiner, thank you for being with us.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you on. As Peg McNichol from the Oakland Press in an article about this proposed budget called in her subtitle for this particular article that she wrote about it, that they're expecting some belt tightening in Oakland County in 2024, kind of par for the course for a lot of individual communities and counties in Michigan and across the board, particularly because that COVID-19 relief money from the federal government starting to trickle its way out of the economy and come to its sunset.
Yeah, it is kind of challenging right now for communities because, you know, we had this big boost of funds coming from the federal government with the ARPA funds resulting from the COVID crisis. And, you know, they come to an end. And so basically you see some efforts by the county to try to address this. You know, one of the things that I like about the way that Oakland County has approached its budget is that they budget on a 3-year basis. So they're trying to look at the big picture here and realize that sometimes these investments that they make, you know, if they're going to continue on into the future, they might not necessarily have the funds going on into the future. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. So, for example, one of the things that they're trying to do is they've had a big success with the program to essentially provide counseling to small business owners in Oakland County. And that was something that was funded with COVID relief funds. And so now what they're trying to do is that they're trying to move it off the county budget and essentially turn it into a a nonprofit organization that will do separate counseling with individual business owners, separate from the county funds, not relying on the county for funding anymore. You know, and I think that's a good approach, because they were basically used the county funds that they received from the federal government as seed money to start this program. And now that it's a program that's grown, I believe, to about 4,500 people being counseled, that is a large enough program now that hopefully it'll become self-sustaining and something that the county no longer needs to provide the money for. And that's kind of the challenge that they have when they get these one-time funds, which again, we've talked about this before, is if they get a bunch of money, say the county says, oh, we want to hire a bunch of sheriff's deputies. Well, the sheriff's deputies, that cost continues on for years after those funds end. So where's that money going to come from? And we've seen it in some other communities where they've actually had to cut. But Oakland County, I think, has made some wise decisions in terms of really trying to use the money more as seed money to start programs, which then it's able to offload.
Yeah, and among some of those programs that they're starting was converting the Business Forward program that was in part catalyzed by the ARPA funding, the American Rescue Plan Act funding from the federal government, moving that instead into what's now going to be a nonprofit called Oakland Thrive that launched in March with $17 million from ARPA funding and will continue as a nonprofit going forward. But across the board, also inflation playing a role in this new budget. As we look at the past few years of budgeting in 2021, when the county began to start budgeting on that 3-year basis, the budgets were around $970 million, with the final budget in 2022 coming out to $971.2 million, according to the Oakland Press. Now we're seeing that number reach over that $1 billion mark, with the proposed budget for the next 3 years beginning at $1.09 billion. And so how is that also playing a factor into especially these individual departments and their budgets down the line, those line items going forward?
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. I mean, we have to remember that when you're talking about government, by far the biggest expenditure that government's going to have is employee salaries. Now, most of the employees that the county has, of course, are unionized. So their salaries and benefits are governed by the union contracts between the county and the various unions. Now, as I understand it, most of those union contracts right now are settled. So the county really has no discretion in terms of how it's going to address that. So then what you do is you look at the relatively small number of employees who are non-unionized. And there the challenge is that essentially they're competing on the open market for these employees. And of course, as we know, private employers are right now boosting wages to try to compete for employees because of the fact that there is this tight labor market that's been pushing up the employee wages, you know, part of what's been driving inflation. So as a result of that, the county knows that they want to increase the wages for these other employees so that they're competitive on the open market, but at the same time, they don't want to increase it so much that it creates a fiscal burden that on long term for the county. Because again, coming back to the issue of how the county deals with long-term budgeting, employee wage increases tend to build on themselves. So for example, this year they're talking about a 3% increase. Next year they're talking about another 3% increase. And the following year, another 3% increase. Well, that ends up being more than a 9% increase, because you have to remember it's 3% increase plus 3% increase on the prior 3% increase. So it ends up essentially compounding and increasing the cost quite a bit. So this is kind of part of the challenge here that the county has, which is that on the one hand, they have very few employees that they're really able to essentially manage their costs on. On the other hand, they also need to provide wages and benefits that are competitive on the open market, which is very challenging right now, given the inflationary environment that we're in. But also then, you've got the fact that the county needs to be cognizant of the kind of the long-term trends here, which are that they're not going to have these huge increases in funds that they've had in the past. So it's really kind of a big balancing act that you're seeing the county executive doing right now.
Peg McNichol from the Oakland Press noting in her article on this budget that managers in these individual departments are being asked by the county executive to lean out their budgets for the next few years to be able to achieve some of those things you're talking about, offsetting the loss in funding coming from the ARPA funds to offset inflation and the impact on increased costs, but also to make sure that they're able to retain employees and maintain what they've had in terms of their ability to output what they do each and every day, department by department. And Dr. Greiner, with this being the case on a county-wide level, how's that affecting individual municipalities too? Because I'd imagine if the county is going to be having these problems, these individual municipalities are going to be having that maybe 10, 25% greater than what the county has.
Oh, for sure. And we can see that with the ARPA funds, for example. I mean, the county has essentially said that the last batch of ARPA funds that's going to be distributing to the individual communities within the county is going to be happening by this October. So you're seeing an end coming to it. And I think we've talked about, for example, Madison Heights and Royal Oak Township and some other communities in Oakland County that really are looking at their budgets now and realizing that on a long-term basis, they've really got a big problem going forward. So I think that's something that is that all communities are going to be watching very closely. But, one thing I want to emphasize, too, is, we can't become too negative here. There's this idea that we have that, the economy is doing so badly, but yet all the indications that we're seeing overall seem to be pointing more and more at a soft landing, that the economy is going to continue to do well, that we're not going to be falling into a big recession. And indeed, the county executives team pointed that out when they were talking about the long-term prospects here, that yes, we can't expect these big increases. Yes, we need to manage the drop-off of the COVID-related funds. But by the same token, we're hopeful now that we're not going to see a big recession coming, which would then seriously impact the county and the local community's long-term budgets. So I think that this effort to try to be more lean in their operations is something that's really positive. But also, we can't overstate the fact that, there's a lot positive to be said about this county. One thing I think that's worth applauding in terms of what the county is doing, and certainly as a business professor, I'm really thrilled to see, is that they're making some investments to try to ensure the long-term economic viability and competitiveness of the county. So, for example, we see that in public transportation, something that has been shown to be a priority of businesses in terms of where they locate. Well, of course, as we know, last year, the voters, approved a millage increase specific for public transportation. And the county has really dived into that with both feet. And they've worked with SMART and with some other local transportation organizations to increase the public transportation access that we have across the county. And that's something that's a priority for businesses. Additionally, we see the efforts by the county to try to encourage people to get higher education, to try to make availability of a community college in particular more affordable for county residents. And that's been something that has been shown to be something that really is attractive to businesses. So I think that there's a lot positive to be said here. And, sometimes we end up focusing too much on the negative. But, Oakland County is still a great place to do business. And we can see in this budget that we're continuing to make some investments to make sure that continues on into the future.
Yeah, the way that this proposed budget has been pieced together, and from discussions that have been had from those in charge of proposing this budget and involved in formulating this budget, have kind of been a sense of cautious optimism given the state the economy is in, looking at a reduced chance of there being a recession, but still keeping that in the back of their minds as they're planning for the next 3 years of Oakland County's budget. Dr. Greiner, thank you so much for joining us to give us a little bit more insight into the thought of Oakland County Executive David Coulter and others involved in proposing this budget for 2024 and beyond.
It's great to be here, and have a great weekend.
Appreciate having Dr. Greiner on with us as always to talk about these issues. My apologies in the background, some construction happening outside the window, some renovations to my apartment building at the time. So a little bit of construction noise in the background on today's edition of the program, but not going to be going on for hopefully too much longer out here in this area of the community. Now, that being said, a couple more things to get to on today's program. Oakland County's Clerk and Register of Deeds, Lisa Brown, is warning against bogus scam mailings being sent potentially even to your mailbox this week and in the near future. The warnings have coming from the clerk's office, as over the last several weeks, many residents have been receiving mailings that have been postcards that read something along the lines of county deed record or home warranty division, threatening a quote-unquote lapse in coverage. These postcards are also labeled with terminology such as property lien holder, final notice, and registration is required. That includes a 1-800 number for you to call to complete that process. This has also been happening too with businesses receiving a quote-unquote notice of tax lien. When you receive one of these notices, throw it away, disregard it. Doesn't actually exist. This is a scam. It is a huge red flag. The Oakland County Register of Deeds and Clerk Lisa Brown says only contact them by their phone number 248-858-0651, 248-858-0651, or by sending them an email at deeds@oakgov.com. They will not call for collections on taxes or for other purposes of collecting information such as that. They will send you mail. If you're ever unsure, send them an email or call them directly. Do not answer those phone calls and do not call those numbers being sent to you by those bogus postcards if you're even the slightest bit unsure. Plenty more coming up all throughout the week on the Splash Live, news and information, as well as events and other fun things happening right here in our community with our entire team: Dayan Chaaban, Calvin Brown, Anthony Dwyer, Anthony Juba, and more. I'm Tyler Kieft, and you're watching the Splash Live.